Hey everyone, this is your girl Sharifa, aka Shree, and welcome to the I'm Good podcast, or in better words, the I Feel Good podcast. If you are new here, welcome to the family. This is a podcast where I explore topics on mental health, physical health, nutrition, and everything in between. So if you're trying to get right and stay right mentally, this is definitely the place you want to be. And wait, before I begin, here's some quick info. Why did I name this podcast I'm Good? Simple. Because as people, from a cultural standpoint, whether we are down or happy, our favorite response to friends, families, or strangers is I'm good, even if we're not. It's completely normal not to feel happy all the time, but in the midst of whatever you go through, the saying I'm good can elaborate to so many different meanings. So yes, this is the place to be, whether you are down, happy, excited, and everything in between. I'm here to dish out knowledge, talk about current topics, and of course, lift you up. So feel free to go ahead and subscribe, share this podcast, leave a review, and tell a friend. Now let's go ahead and get started on today's show. Hey guys, if you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. And let me explain to you really quick. First of all, for starters, it's free. Yes, I said it's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. And I know most of you guys have a phone or computer, so it's so easy. Anchor will also distribute your podcast for you. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. So make sure you download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Hey everybody, welcome back to the I'm Good podcast. If you are new here, what's good? What's poppin'? Thank you so much for joining me. For all of my returning listeners, what's good? Shout out to my I'm Good fam. As always, I want to tell you guys, thank you so much for tuning in to each episode. If you haven't listened to them all straight through, that's fine. Whatever episode that you have tuned into, I just honestly want to tell you guys, thank you. You guys are some real ones. And for my new listeners, I hope you stay for a while. So yes, y'all, there's plenty of episodes to check out. So make sure you guys go ahead and check out those episodes. And yes, get your pen and paper, take some notes, do whatever you need to do to get this information ingrained. I think that's the word, ingrained into your brain. That rhymes. Also, too, this podcast is sponsored by www.allthingsshree.com. That is my online store where I have apparel such as hoodies, sweatshirts, t-shirts, and phone cases as well. And the items on there are meant to make you feel confident. I also have some apparel that is faith-driven. And, oh my gosh, I'm trying to think. Yes, go ahead and check it out. But make sure you guys go ahead and use your promo code I'mGoodFam to get 10% off your entire order. Once again, use your promo code I'mGood. Listeners, listen to this. Use your promo code I'mGoodFam in capital letters at checkout. So once you check out all the way to the screen of where you have to put your credit card information, there is a section where you put the promo code. Make sure you put your promo code there at checkout. Put in promo code I'mGoodFam to get 10% off your entire order. This is a special discount for all of my listeners. Thank you to everyone who has shopped from the online store. It's greatly appreciated. But make sure you use your promo code I'mGoodFam to get 10% off your entire order. Also, too, if you are listening to this on an Apple device, whether that be like a MacBook or iPhone, whatever, iPad, whatever it may be, make sure you guys go ahead and leave a rating and review within the Apple Podcast app. Make sure you guys go ahead and do that. As I always say, it helps the podcast to grow even more. And it opens up a lot of opportunities for me to do even more things with this podcast. So make sure you guys go ahead and leave a rating and review. It will be greatly appreciated. So if you're listening to this on an Apple device or whatever it may be, make sure you guys go ahead and leave a rating and review. It literally takes, honestly, for a rating, which is stars, that takes seconds. And if you want to leave a review, depending on how long you want to leave it, whatever, it could be short, whatever, it should honestly take under a minute. But if you want to do a longer review, hey, by any means, go ahead and do that. But Make sure you guys go ahead and leave a rating and review. It helps this podcast to grow even further. And if you are listening to this podcast like on another format, listen, go ahead and leave whatever format that is. This podcast is everywhere, basically almost on all podcast platforms. I know we're on Spotify, Amazon, we're on Google, we're every single where. This podcast, you can tune into this podcast anywhere. So whatever platform that you're using, make sure you go ahead and leave a rating or review there. So if there's the opportunity for you to leave a rating or review, whatever platform you listen to, make sure you guys go ahead and do that. Also, too, thank you guys so much for checking out our midweek roll call. For my I'm Good fam, you guys already know what that is. For my returning listeners, that is a portion of an episode where, well, not a portion of an episode, but it's where in the episode that I release every single Wednesday, and I speak affirmation, and it's dropped on Wednesday for a reason. That's like midweek, for most people, we're working, Monday through Friday. So we need that, something to get us over the hump. That is why I started, something to get us over the hump. So make sure you guys go ahead and also tune into the midweek roll call. There are tons and tons and tons of those episodes. Feel free to write down those affirmations. Feel free to just to keep replaying the same podcast episode. If it resonates with you, do it. Listen. In life, you got to do what works for you. You can't do what everybody does. Sometimes you might just be looked at as weird, but if something works for you in regards to your growth and you feeling better and being better for yourself, do what works for you. We are not all wired the same way. That's the beauty of life. We're not all the same people. We're all unique in different ways. So do what you need to do in order for you to get that information inside you. Also, too, make sure you guys go ahead and share this podcast. If you have an Instagram, whatever it may be, make sure you guys go ahead and share this podcast. Share it on your Twitter. Share it on your Facebook account. Share it. Share. Thank you to everyone who has shared this podcast. I really, really want to say thank you so much to everyone who has shared this podcast. But if you have not done so, make sure you go ahead and share this podcast on your social media accounts. My Instagram for this podcast is I'm Good Podcast. I have not been as active on there, but make sure you guys go ahead and still follow that, because once I get back active on there, it's on and popping. So make sure you guys go ahead and follow I'm Good Podcast on Instagram. So once again, that is I'm Good Podcast on Instagram. And so if you want to share, feel free to tag that Instagram page, do what you have to do. But yes, y'all, feel free to share this podcast. If there's an episode that you love and you feel that other people will benefit from it, or if you just want to show love to the I'm Good podcast, make sure you go ahead and share this podcast. It will be greatly, greatly, greatly appreciated. All right, y'all. So today's topic, I want to talk about, I want to go into the topic of mental health and becoming or being mentally strong. So I want to talk about 10 ways to become mentally strong. And I know sometimes, we may think that we're already mentally strong, but one thing I'm learning in life is that, there's always room to learn more. You will never know it all. And that's something that I'm learning. Like, just when I think, well, actually, no, I never know. I know that I don't know it all, actually. So I actually crave information. I love information because I have gotten to a point in my life where sometimes I think I know it all, but then something else hits me, or I might meet someone else. And then, not to say that they completely influence my decision, but I now, let me put it like this. I now listen. I try not to talk. I try my hardest not to talk so much, but I try to listen and digest what a person has to say. And then I figure out what I want to do with that information. But there's always room. There's always room to learn more. We don't know it all. Our brains can't even hold all the information to know it all. I don't even want to know it all. I don't. Honestly, I feel like that would be too much for me. Like, I enjoy, even though sometimes it's frustrating, but I enjoy just learning, because sometimes, it could be frustrating when you don't know it all. It's like, oh my gosh, I wish I knew this. But that's the joy in life, is as you continue to grow and get older, you just continue to learn more, and you also learn about yourself. So In today's episode, I want to talk about 10 ways to become mentally strong or stronger. So if you feel that you're already mentally strong, then these are some tips that you can, use for yourself to become mentally stronger. Or also, this is some tips that you could provide to someone else if you feel that maybe they're going through something right now, or you may feel that they're at like a weaker point in their life, or maybe you just feel like this might be beneficial, because this information is not just beneficial for someone who might be going through anything. You could be perfectly fine and perfectly mentally strong. But this information right here, I still think is beneficial, because for me, it is beneficial for me. And that's not why I'm saying that it's beneficial, but I'm just saying this information right here today in regards to 10 ways to become mentally strong applies to, I would say, just about everyone. Like I said, you can never honestly learn too much. I mean, even if it's repetitive, and I say this all the time on this podcast, there are times where I repeat stuff and that's repetitive, but that is fine. That's the only way, honestly, you can get things into your brain. That's like creating a routine. When you're repetitive at something, you become better at something. If you're repetitive at exercising and consistent, you'll see results. So hearing things repeatedly, listen to affirmations and listen to positivity over time, well, you'll notice a change. Because even for myself over time, as I continue to listen to motivational talks, and I listen to like people like Eric Thomas, and I listen to things about stocks and business and podcasts, whatever it may be, over time, I feel like my desires in life and things that I want to do have changed versus when I just was listening to anything. So when I didn't have no clear direction, and even to this day, I wouldn't say that I have a clear direction. I know where I want to go, but I also am learning to embrace change. And that's actually one of the tips today. But let's get started. So number one. So the first tip in regards to becoming mentally strong is, when you fail, keep going. That is something, you know what? I read a book. Well, I'm not done with it. I actually got to continue to read it. But it's called Think and Grow Rich. And they talked about that the number one reason people fail is due to temporary defeat. So a lot of people don't go past that defeat. So when they fail, they don't ever push forward. And that helped me a lot. And I need to read that book again. I swear, y'all, I'm stuck like on a third chapter. I got to get back into it, whatever. But that right there alone was just phenomenal, because we do it a lot. And I know I do it myself. Is that when you're faced with temporary defeat, you're like, well, you put your hands in the air and you're like, well, that's it. Can't go no further. No, that's actually when you're supposed to go further. So the first tip in regards to becoming mentally strong is fail when you keep going. Focus on a solution, not the obstacle. Let me say that again. Focus on a solution, or focus on solutions and not the obstacle. When we face the obstacle, we can never see, when we face an obstacle or we fail, we never can see the solution. But there's so many solutions. Like, honestly, if you really think about it, for every problem that we have, there are solutions. There are generally more than one solution, but because our brain, the way sometimes is wired, we tend to focus or harness on the negativity or we harness on the failure of whatever it may be, that we don't focus on the actual solution of whatever obstacle that we're facing. So number one is, when you fail, keep going and focus on the solution and not the obstacle. Number two, stop people pleasing. Okay, as I've gotten older, I had to realize this. Stop people pleasing. And what does that mean? And it is definitely hard. I will say, even growing up from elementary school to high school to college, it can be very hard. But I will say this, depending on your age or whatever it may be, or whatever stage you're in your life, you may be at a point where you're like, okay, I really don't care so much no more. But even where I'm at in my life right now, even though I'm no longer in college or I'm no longer in high school, there are still some times where I find that I am people pleasing. And it could come in different ways. You could be people pleasing on social media. You could just be people pleasing. You could be trying to please your family, your friends, whatever it may be. But people pleasing is like really honestly one of the biggest ways to stay unhappy and become unhappy, because at the end of the day, you have to do what's best for you. Like, people pleasing really won't get you nowhere. The only person it benefits is that person. It doesn't benefit you. And so just think of people pleasing like that. It does not benefit you in no shape or form. People pleasing only benefits that person. And so the goal of this podcast, the goal of just overall life in regards to just building yourself up and just becoming the best version of you, is you have to do things that benefit you as well. I'm not saying that, you just go out and do whatever it is that you want to do and be like, oh, who cares about what my family say, my mom, my dad, my sister or brother, whoever they say. Find that line of where you're people pleasing and you have to find that balance. Let me put it like that. So just find that sweet line of where you're doing what someone wants, but you're not people pleasing. Like I said, growing up, I will say for me, it was a lot harder. I felt like I people please. I didn't people please a lot, but I also kind of find now, I feel like for me, and I feel like especially in this era of social media, I feel like a lot of us people please, whether that be, wearing a certain outfit on social media, taking a picture on Instagram, looking a certain way, talking a certain way, listening to certain music to please others on social media that we don't even know. We're taking certain pictures to get certain likes, to attract a certain type of crowd, whatever it may be. So technically on social media, that often can lead to people pleasing, especially Instagram, because you might be like, oh, well, in order to get likes, I gotta, make sure I wear this outfit and do this and look like this in order to get likes. So even though people pleasing, I think a lot of times we think of people pleasing being like our family, friends, or whatever. Oftentimes, honestly, those apps that we're using are used to please others. So just kind of think of it that way. But that's the second tip in regards to becoming mentally strong, is stop people pleasing. Like I said, it is definitely hard. I will say that coming from someone who uses social media, it is very hard. It is hard. Yes, it's definitely hard because social media, especially Instagram, is made for you to post content for people to engage into. Because let's be honest, I'll be honest with myself. If I post a pic and I don't get no likes on my picture, I'm gonna start questioning myself. I'm like, okay, either Instagram is broken or people don't like me. And I might just take it down. I might delete it. And I have done that in the past, but now that, I will say over months or years or so, whatever, I haven't done that. But sometimes we do get in our head because we allow social media and the people to control us in regards to dressing or looking a certain way. So number 3, let go of the past. Easier said than done, but I'll put it like this. Try your best to let go of the past. I listened to a motivational speech by Steve Harvey. Yes, I said Steve Harvey, the comedian. And he said, oh my gosh, I forgot the quote. Man, I really forgot the quote. Like, it was like really a good quote. He said something like, I was who I was, I am who I am. It was something like that, but acknowledge the past. I'm not saying forget the past. I'm saying let go of the past. I think a lot of times we hold on to the past. And we kind of just be like, oh man, well, this happened this happened, whatever, this and that. And we tend to hold on to the past, not allowing ourselves to be fully present in the future. So when you hold on to the past, you're not allowing yourself to grow in the in the present, I should say. Also to, try not to think of the future too far ahead. I mean, think of the future, but when we do let go, when we harbor and we really keep going over the past, we don't allow ourselves to grow in the present. So I don't care what it may be, whatever it may be. It could be something small as like, maybe you started a business and it didn't do well. And you're like, well, when I did that business then, it didn't do so well. And, or when I was in this relationship, or I dealt with this when I was a child, whatever it may be. We all, listen, y'all, none of us are perfect. None of us have perfect lives. So we all have done or dealt with stuff in our past, including me. There's nothing to it. But one of the things that you can do to become mentally strong or stronger is to let go of the past, acknowledge it, but acknowledge the present. Say to yourself, what can I learn from the past? Whether it was a mistake, whatever it may be, And how can I use this present moment to be of benefit to me? Number 4, be patient. So this is something that I'm always praying about, because I'm like, honey, child, patience level, like, be patient. So much harder, so much easier said than done, but becoming patient. So being patient will really help you to become mentally strong. I will tell you that. So if you already mastered becoming patient, listen, you're one step ahead, because we live in a world, especially society, especially as millennials, where it's like we want things instantly. They call it like a microwave society. Whatever it may be. It could be marriage, it could be kids, it could be whatever. It could be a business, it could be whatever. I don't know what it is that you're waiting for or anything, but I will say that, being patient is really, really important in regards to becoming mentally fit and mentally strong. So, whatever techniques that you need to do to help yourself to become patient, like I said, what you can do is, I would say, is, stay in the present. It's okay to jump into the future, think about what it is that you want in the future, whatever. But I say stay in the present. And one thing I'm learning too is to love the process. Whatever the process may be for your life, whatever it is that you desire, just love the process. Because a lot of times, if you think about it in life, when we think back, like when we're younger or maybe like a year ago, we'd be like even think about before COVID, we were like, yo, remember we used to be outside, or remember when we did this, remember we did that. But when we were in that moment, we didn't think of it like that. In that moment, we were thinking about years prior to that, like, oh, remember when we did this and remember we did that. So a lot of times we don't understand it, that right now we are in our good times. Like, oh, remember when? But we don't acknowledge it, because I feel like we live ahead of ourselves. So just think of this moment right now, become present in this moment. And just think about how next year you might say to yourself, like, yo, remember when on this day I did this? Remember that, that was some good times. Like, say to yourself, you are in your good times. And whatever you may be going through, like I said, we're all going through different things, but become present. And that's one way you can help yourself to become patient, is just be present. And so what's for you is for you, and whatever it is that you're hoping or wishing for, just continue to pray about it. Continue, like I said, write it down, journal it, whatever it may be, but just work on becoming present in the moment and appreciating the process. Number 5, control what you can control. Listen, y'all, this is life. Control what you can control. If you can't control it, let it go. But if you can control it, do something about it. There's a thing called the Serenity Prayer. I forgot how it goes, but it's something about Serenity Prayer. I forgot the whole prayer. But control what you can control, and what you cannot control, let go of. So just think about your life right now. What can you control? What things can you not control? And for the things that you cannot control, what are some things that you can do to improve the situation or whatever it may be? So, like for me, I'll just put, like, hypothetically, like, I can't control that I'm a type 1 diabetic, okay? Per se, okay, I can't control it. Like, my pancreas doesn't produce insulin. But what can I do to make sure that my diabetes isn't out of control? What can I do to manage my diabetes? So like I said, focus on the solution, not the obstacle. So control what you can control. I can control my eating habits. I can control if I exercise. I can control seeing the doctor. I can control how many times I check my blood sugar. So like I said, control what you can control. So even if there is something that you're dealing with, think about what it is that you can control, because listen, you can't control everything. That's the thing about life, is that, and I try to do it myself. You try to control situations. You try to control people. You can't control people. You can't control situations. You can't control your life. But the things that you can control, take action. And 9 times out of 10, whatever it is that you are feeling, whatever it may be, you probably can control it. There's not many things that you can't control. Well, there are many things. Like I'll say this, one thing that we can't control is like the sun going up and the sun going down. That's something I had one day. I had a talk with my mother. We're just talking about different things because a book I had read about manifestation. But those are some things we can't control. We can't control the different seasons of summer, spring. Well, I'm going backwards. We can't control the seasons of fall, winter, spring, summer. So we can't control seasons. We can't control months. I can't be like, January, how dare you? Or I can't be like, March, So my birthday's March 13th. I can't be like, oh no, it better stay March 13th for the next 5 days. No, you can't control that. So there are some things that you can control, and you can't control other factors, whatever's going on in your life. But the things that you can control, try your best to figure it out. Because like I said, that is a very hard one, but that's a very, very great way. Controlling what you can control is a really, really great way to kind of keep yourself mentally fit and mentally strong. Number 6, this one goes hand in hand with, with not pleasing people. To try to stop pleasing people is don't let people influence your emotions. Now, if people, are caring, are really saying something that's meaningful to you, that's one thing. But don't let people influence your emotions. Like if you feel a certain way about something or whatever it may be, don't let people influence your emotions. If you feel that there's something that you need to do for yourself, do it. Okay. That's one thing I'm learning. It's nice to give me advice, but if I feel like internally this is something that I need to do for myself, I'm going to have to do it. As long as I know that it's benefiting me. Now, if I'm talking about something else, okay, maybe not. But you have to do what you think is best for you. So don't let people influence your emotions. Number 7, take a leap of faith, become fearless, and be bigger than your fears. Okay, listen, practice having faith. And I've said this before, and I don't know if I said on this podcast, is that a lot of times with people will say, oh, we have faith. Oh, I have faith in this and faith in that. But we have faith in one area. But do you have faith in all areas of your life? I'm just saying, like, do you really have faith in all areas of your life? And that's something I keep telling myself. Like, okay, Sheree, you can't have faith in this area, but lacking in another. That's limited faith. Do you have all around faith? Do you have faith in every single thing that you do? So become fearless. Let go and become fearless. Do what you feel that your heart desires. And I will say this too, just with me doing everything, like right now I have so much going on. It feels uncomfortable, but honestly, when you feel uncomfortable, that's how you know you're growing. Now, I'm not saying bad uncomfortable, like not that type of uncomfortable, but if you know that you're genuinely not doing nothing bad, but you're feeling uncomfortable, 9 times out of 10, that is you growing and stretching. I cannot tell you how many times like this past year or just these past months where I'm just like, I feel so uncomfortable, but I know I'm being stretched. So listen, let go, take the leap of faith and become fearless. Number 8, stop people watching. This goes back to social media or, physically people watching, whatever it may be. But I bring this to social media. Stop people watching. And when I say that is, scrolling, looking at other people's successes, which is fine. Now I'll put it like this. I do that for myself. And sometimes I'm like, dang, I wish I was in that position. Now there's certain levels of it because, sometimes some people, there's certain levels of it where you can become inspired. But if you start feeling yourself drowning into other people's dreams and you start looking at your life like, what am I doing wrong? Please don't do that. I've said this before and I will continuously say this. Instagram, TikTok, whatever it may be, are usually highlight reels, especially Instagram. Instagram is a highlight reel. People are showing their best selves. Like even myself, I'm not going to show you my worst self on Instagram. That's just not something that I'm going to do. I don't want to put that out there. Yes, I go through stuff and I deal with stuff, but I'm going to show you the positive sides of my life. I'm not going to show you the negative sides. Now, if I got to give a testimony, I'll show you the testimony after I went through the test, but I'm probably not going to show you as I'm in it. Okay. So, you have to stop people watching, because a lot of times people are showing you, sometimes people, what they be showing you is fake, okay? Let me put it like that. Sometimes what you're looking at is fake, it's not true. You don't even know these people, but I will say, if you feel that when you are watching people on social media and you're feeling down and like, oh my gosh, why I'm not where they're at, stop it. Just stop it. Number 9, be okay with being alone and in love. Be okay with being alone and being with yourself. Now, I'm not saying like you shouldn't be in a relationship or have a partner or whatever, this and that, a boo, a bae, a girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever it may be. But I'm just saying, whether you're married, whatever, but you should love your own company, especially for anyone that is single. So for my single ladies, for my single fellas, you should really, really love your own company. And that's something that I told myself, like, I want to continue to work on. It's like, you should really, really love your own company. I don't care if you are in a relationship. Because I've been there, I've been in relationships where it's like, I'm like, do I even enjoy myself? Like, you should really love your own company. You shouldn't have to depend on someone else to make you happy and make you love yourself. Like, it's okay to get words of encouragement and things like that, but you should really love your own company. So be okay with being alone. Look up different things that you can do. Take yourself on a date. Take yourself to the spa. Like I said, if you are in a relationship, I know it could be a little bit different if you're married, whatever it may be. But do some things that make you feel good, okay? Do some things, you could do it with your boo, your bae, your husband, or wife. You can still do things with them. But, when you have some downtime and it's just you should be okay with being alone. Figure out some things that you actually enjoy that you can actually do by yourself. And then number 10, embrace change. I know that's something that I mentioned earlier on this podcast, like as a tip. Well, I didn't say it was a tip, but I said it was going to be a tip. But number 10, another 10, in regards to tips to help you become mentally strong, is embrace change. Okay? I know it's hard to embrace. Not a lot of people like change. Me and change is something that I'm still working with. I don't completely, depending on the type of change is hard. I'm going to put it like that. Change is hard. I don't feel like change is ever really easy. It could be good change, bad change. But learn to embrace change. And remember I said, focus on the solutions, not the obstacle. So focus on a solution or solutions and not the obstacle. 9 times out of 10, there is more than one solution to your obstacle. So focus on solutions and not the obstacle. All right. So it's time for the quote of the week. Listen, y'all, I hope y'all enjoys the quote of the week. I hope you guys enjoy the quote of the week. But this week's quote of the week is, life has no remote. Get up and change it yourself. Once again, that quote is, life has no remote. Get up and change it yourself. All right, I'm good, fam. You already know what time it is. We are now at the end of this week's show, and I hope this information was helpful, insightful, and everything in between. Do not forget to go ahead and subscribe to the I'm Good podcast. Share this podcast on your social media. Leave a review and tell a friend, tell a family member, tell your boo, tell your bae, tell whoever, okay? Tell your students. If you're a teacher, tell whoever, tell your coworker, okay? Let them know about this podcast. Thank you guys once again so much for tuning in and listening, and I will see all of you beautiful people next week. Bye-bye.